Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of Ranking the Albums. Today we're going to take a look at the solo catalog of the great Steve Lukather, of course, guitarist, vocalist, songwriter extraordinaire from Toto. He's played on a ton of albums. He's one of the great session musicians of all time. If you look at his overall discography, he's appeared on so many albums and so many different music styles and genres. You'd be amazed at what those guitar tones are that you're hearing in a lot of the songs that you wouldn't think would be associated with Steve Lukather, and they actually are. He's actually on there, right? So yeah, he's got 9 solo albums in total, but we're only going to review 8 of them because one of them is the Sentimental, yes, holiday album that he did, which has some holiday covers and things like that. We're not gonna, and some originals, but it's a very cool holiday themed Christmas album as well, but we're not going to include that in the ranking. We're going to do all of the other 8 solo records, and of course, like I said, going way back, Toto formed in the late 70s, kind of a overnight sensation, really peaked in the early 80s with their Toto 4 album. Then kind of, fell out of favor after a while, but their music has really endeared itself over the years. They've got a host of singles, Africa and Hold the Line and, Rosanna and numerous other ones. And it's great to see, like, after so many years where they were kind of ignored here in the States, it's good to see Toto out on the road quite a bit and touring and opening up for bigger bands. Like I've seen them with Journey quite a few times. They've been touring with Journey and other bigger bands as well, and it's good to see the love late in this career for Toto, who, like I said, were very popular early on, but then went through many years where they could barely get arrested here in the States, although still had quite a fan base internationally speaking. But like I said, Steve has done a bunch of solo albums on his own, in many cases with members of Toto, usually with lots of other guest stars. He's got tons of friends in the music industry, as you can imagine, so usually the lineup on all of these solo records is pretty stacked full of talent. So I'm going to rank them in the order that I like them, and we'll start off with number 8, which is going to be his 5th studio album from 2008. It's called Ever Changing Times. There's Steve on the cover there. Here he is on the back. So I do want to preface kind of the ranking here by saying I think, if you've watched my guitar players, favorite guitar players show that I've been doing every day here this month in September, Steve, of course, made my list. And I think Steve is a terrific guitar player, but one of the things that he doesn't get enough credit for are his vocals. He's generally speaking always been a vocalist in Toto, not always the main singer, but he has always done lead vocals on all the Toto albums. There are a few albums where he's the main singer, but for the most part, he's usually like the second singer. But he gets the lion's share of lead vocal slots in Toto. But of course, here on his solo albums, he's doing all the vocals, and he's a great singer, really is. Most known for his guitar skills and his songwriting skills, but man, the guy is a great singer as well. So here on this 5th album, Ever Changing Times, and this came out, what was this? The label is so microscopic here, I can't even read. Is this Mascot? No. Ride On Records? I don't know, whatever it is, doesn't matter. Anyway, so this is the 5th album, so this comes after the Sentimental album. So that is actually the 4th album. This is the 5th album. Lots of guests on this album, as I mentioned, past and present Toto members, all sorts of other people. Opening title track is a pretty solid, moody hard rocker. Got a cranking guitar solo. Pretty good song. The Letting Go is up next. That's kind of catchy AOR. You got big, bright hard rock riffs and strong vocals on New World. I kind of like that song. That's pretty good. Then you got the bland ballad, Tell Me What You Want From Me. Then after that, you got the more acoustic-based pop of I Am, also kind of bland. I like the quirky, almost kind of Steely Dan sounding jazzy, funky rock of Stab in the Back. I really like that a lot. That's kind of something a little bit different from him. Once you kind of get through all these albums, you realize that's kind of a style he doesn't really do all that well, but I think it really works. I'd love to hear more of that. Never Ending Nights, also kind of bland and unmemorable. Icebound also goes back to that kind of Steely Dan feel. But there's some just cranking guitars on that particular song as well, which I think even elevates it more. How Many Zeros? Fun, bluesy, moody, hard rock track. Steve loves to do the moody, like rock, moody, hard rock thing. You're going to hear me say that quite a lot on this episode. His guitar tone is great on that. His guitar tone is always really, really good. And then you got The Truth, which is a pretty nice instrumental, soaring lead guitar from Luke. Again, I didn't mention it yet, but he is an enormous Jeff Beck fan. So he will oftentimes throw in some cool little instrumentals that are kind of a homage to Jeff Beck. He's like I said, huge Jeff Beck fan, always was. And so a lot of times he'll do these little instrumentals that kind of hark upon and pay homage to Jeff Beck. So this is one of a couple of his albums that I think there's some good tracks here, but there's some stuff that's not all that good. So it's kind of spotty. And to me, I think this album is lacking a little guitar firepower, which you get on a lot of the other albums. But so that being said, it's not a terrible record by any means. Half of it's really enjoyable. The other half it's okay, right? Nothing spectacular. But some cool stuff. Like I said, I like the couple little Steely Dan-ish kind of songs on here. Stab in the Back and Icebound, I think are both really, really cool. All right, so that's my number 8. My number 7 is going to be the Luke album. Third album, 1997. There he is. Again, lots of people appearing on this one. You got Jim Cox, David Paich, Brent Tuggle on keyboards. You got Pino Palladino, Phil Sasson, John Pierce on bass, Greg Bissonette on drums, all sorts of people on here. Cool cast. It opens up with The Real Truth, moody, there's that word again, but pretty memorable hard rocker. Broken Machine, again, more kind of moody, nice chorus. The song itself's kind of bland, but whatever. Tears of My Own Shame. That's, to me, to my ears, that has a clear Robin Trower influence. Bluesy, moody rocker, guitar solo is terrific, pretty cool song. Love the Things You Hate. That's kind of like the first high energy rocker on here. Most of the stuff that comes before it is kind of just this kind of moody, mid-pace, just sort of thing, which he does a lot. But Love the Things You Hate is really good. I don't really like Hate Everything About You, which kind of brings together like bluesy rock and country. It's got pedal steel and some kind of country style organ. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. I also don't really like Reservations to Live the way it is. That's kind of jangly again. It's rootsy kind of country. Don't want to hear Lukather do that kind of stuff. But I tell you, his vocals are great. No matter what the style he's doing, his singing is always top notch on all these albums. Don't Hang Me On. That's kind of beefy, kind of groovy, kind of Soundgarden-ish. Pretty cool. You got the funky pop of Always Be There For You. That's pretty catchy. Open Your Heart. Kind of bland pop. It doesn't really work. Bag of Tales. Another moody, brooding rocker. Pretty decent. Then he does a great cover of Stephen Still's Bluebird song, which is really good. And James Gang also did that as well. That's really good. And then depending on the version you get, it's on my version, the US version, you got a cover of Jeff Beck's The Pump, which is blazing. Really, really good. Overall, I think it's one of his weaker efforts, along with Ever Changing Times. I think these two kind of stick out amongst the whole catalog as being the weaker ones. But again, there's a few good tracks on here I think are really cool. The covers are really well done, and there's a few other tracks which are enjoyable, right? But there's some stuff on here which I don't really doesn't connect with me at all. But overall, decent. At least there's good guitar work on there, which is cool. All right, that's my number 7. My number 6... I'm going to go with his second album from 1994, which is Candyman. Kind of a cool cover. I like the lettering and stuff. There he is in the back. Look at all sorts of young. Look at that. 1994. All sorts of people on here. He had at the time, he had this pretty cool instrumental band called Los Lobotomies. Most of them, if not all of them, are on this album. You got David Paich is on here. Simon Phillips is on here. Paul Rogers sing guest vocal on here. Fee Waybill from the Tubes is on here. Lenny Castro, David Garfield, all sorts of people. Got Hero with 1,000 Eyes. Opening, again, moody rocker. I like it, though. You have a great rendition of Jimi Hendrix's Freedom song. Right, Freedom. It's a great song. Anyway, Luke does a great job on it. Really, really good. You got Extinction Blues. It's kind of bland. You got this big, long, bluesy rocker Born Yesterday, which has some pretty cool guitar licks on it. He's really good. He's ripping up a storm on Never Walk Alone, which I really like. Party in Simon's Pants is a killer instrumental with both Lukather and Phillips just absolutely ripping it up on guitars and drums. Really, really good track. You got Borrowed Time. It's kind of a mellow ballad, easily my least favorite here. You got more bluesy melodic rock, Never Let Them See You Cry. That's pretty good. Froth is a absolutely smoldering, like almost 10-minute long fusion instrumental. It's got some wild soloing back and forth between Lukather, Garfield, and Larry Klimas on sax. So you got keys, guitar, and sax just battling back and forth. Really, really cool. You got a big, heavy, metallic cover of the James Gang, The Bomber song from their first album. That's really, really well done. And then another kind of tribute to Jeff Beck. He does a song called Song for Jeff, which is really, really nicely done. Overall, pretty solid record. A couple clunkers, but for the most part, really, really good. Great guitar tones on here and guitar playing. Great vocals, as always. Good album. Good album. That's number 6. Number 5, I know I have it. I just can't track it down. Transition from 2013, his 7th album. This one is one of the 2 albums produced by a guy named C.J. Vanston, who co-produces the album with Steve, co-writes most of the material, plays lots of keyboards, and does backing vocals and everything. They kind of like partnered up on 2 albums. And you got also like Leland Sklar is on here, Nathan East, Tal Wickenfeld, Lenny Castro, Chad Smith, Greg Bissonette, all sorts of other people guesting on this album as well. Judgment Day kicks it off. Dark, bluesy rocker, some great lead guitar from Lukather on that. Creep Motel, again, moody, bluesy, hard rock, a lot of that kind of stuff, that mid-pace type of just kind of percolating type of thing. He does tons of that. Once again, big, bright pop song. Doesn't do much for me, though, but it's it's a little break from the moody stuff. Right the Wrong has a kind of Toto feel to it, but again, it's kind of moody. It's a little on the long side, maybe about 2 minutes too long, but it's not bad. And Steve is singing great on it, and the chorus is really, really good on that song. What else? Title track, kind of jazzy, atmospheric rock, some tasty guitar solos, pretty good. Mostly instrumental. There are little vocals in it, but for the most part, it's the bulk of the song is instrumental. It's pretty good. Let's see. Last Man Standing is pretty good, pretty catchy. Do I Stand Alone is pretty quirky and has a great pre-chorus and chorus. Really dig that song a lot. Rest of the World, kind of a blues number. And then you got Smile at the end of the album. There's another tasty little instrumental, again with Steve seemingly paying homage to Jeff Beck, because he's doing a lot of similar type whammy bar stuff and like these kind of yearning emotional lines and things like that. So all in all, good album. Transition 2013 is my number 7. My number 6, again, another one that I don't have the hard copy handy, All's Well That Ends Well from 2016, 6th studio album. Again, this is one of the 2 co-produced by C.J. Vanston, co-produced, co-written, that sort of thing. A lot of guests on this one. Opening song, Darkness in My World. I think, again, more proof positive of how Steve Lukather knows how to do this kind of darker, brooding, melancholy, hard rock style. It's like every album's filled with a few of these. It's just weird to start off an album that way too, but it's a good track. It's got great emotional vocals, really good guitar work. Can't really knock it. I love the catchy and quirky On My Way Home. You got Can't Look Back. That's a pretty decent rocker. But then you got Don't Say It's Over. Kind of mushy, kind of meh. Don't really care for that too much. But then he jumps right back into more rockin' stuff with Flash in the Pan, which mixes lots of funk in with the hard rock. It's got this really cool little instrumental middle break and then a kind of spacey guitar solo to finish out the song. Really good track. Watching the World, it's kind of bland, doesn't do much for me. But I do like the groovy You'll Remember, which to me sounds like a Toto track. Doesn't sound like a particular track, but it just sounds like Toto. Great melodies, very memorable. Brody's is a real bluesing rocker with some interesting lyrics, talking about some certain stuff that I wonder if it's a real story. Who knows? And I think Lukather is just on fire throughout the song with cool little guitar fills and lead guitars and things like that. Really good. And then you get an instrumental to finish out the album called Trumescent, which is really good. So this one, pretty strong for the most part. Not much weakness on this album. Maybe a song or two, but the rest of it's really, really good. That's number 4. Number 3, I'm going to go with 2021's Found the Sun Again. This is right before Luke's decided to stop coloring his hair, and he's all white now. Same big messy hairstyle, but all white now. Eighth album. So this one is coinciding with, or coincided, I should say, with Toto. Joseph Williams, Toto lead singer. He also released a studio album at the same time. Basically, these guys were going to do another Toto album, but due to some litigation that was going on with Jeff Porcaro's widow, they couldn't release an album under the Toto banner. So they decided just to release two separate solo albums. Most of the same people playing on both Joseph Williams' album, which was called Denizen Tenant, and Steve's album, which is called I Found the Sun Again. So, sounds like a Toto record, because it's basically that's what it is. Along for the Ride is a big, vibrant hard rocker to kick off the album. That's how you open up an album. You got to pull people in right away. Big up-tempo, big hooks, big riffs. Really like that a lot. And if you listen carefully, about like maybe the midway point, maybe 60% into the song, they do this cool little homage to Won't Get Fooled Again. The little the synthesizer solo and the big wailing drum solo, it's right in there. It sounds exactly like it came from the Who's Won't Get Fooled Again. Pretty cool. Excellent song. Serpent Soul, kind of bluesy, groovy rocker. Then they do couple of covers on here. They do a pretty fun take on the Low Spark of High Heel Boys by Traffic. Add some different elements to it. Nice, cool guitar solo in there. Cool, organ. That's very, very well done. They also do, it's at the end of the album, actually, a cover of Bridge of Sighs by Robin Trower. Trower's one of his heroes. Does a really good job on it. So those are really well done and kind of fun. Journey Through. Nice little instrumental. Killer guitar solos. Again, you kind of get the impression he's paying tribute to Jeff Beck on this one. Welcome to the Club, big, energetic hard rocker. Real catchy, very Toto-ish, especially in the chorus. Just sounds like a classic Toto track. Title track, nice little pop ballad. Good vocals, not one of my favorites on here, but it's still pretty cool. Then you got Run to Me, which features his buddy and boss in the Ringo Starr band, Ringo Starr on drums. Decent kind of hooky rock song. It's got a strong Beatles flair. I think this is a really strong album. He's come out with two pretty strong albums late in his career. One we'll get to in a second. But yeah, that's my number 3. I Found the Sun Again from 2020. Again, one of his COVID albums, or 2021, I should say. And the other one being 2023's Bridges. All right, this is his 9th album, most recent album. And there you see, he's letting the color of the hair grow out. So here you've got his Toto mates, Joseph Williams on vocals, David Paich on backing vocals and some keyboards. Got Simon Phillips is on here, Leland Sklar's on here, his son Trev Lukather is on here. Trev shows up on a couple of these albums. Jorgen Carlson on bass, Shannon Forrest is also on here. So another really strong album. I always say I love that cover. Really, really cool. Far From Over, another really good opener, upbeat, catchy rock song. You take Far From Over and Along for the Ride, and those are two of his best openers on any of these albums, except for maybe the one on the next, my number 1 that I'm going to get to in a second. But yeah, that's how you open up an album. Just big, vibrant, hard rock, loads of hooks, soaring chorus, big layered backing vocals, a lot of thick guitar. Yeah, really, really good. Not My Kind of People, heavy, groovy, big riffs, big metallic kind of guitar riffs, blazing leads, really good. You got the memorable ballad Someone, which is really nicely done. All Forever's Much End is kind of moody. It doesn't really do a hell of a lot for me, but that's followed up by the big catchy When I See You Again, which might be my favorite song on this album, maybe other than the Far From Over's track, but just really good. It sounds like signature Toto. It's got all those great hooks. Easily the most accessible song here. Just big, bright, uplifting, good rock song. Take My Love is bluesy, kind of brooding, some cool organ, stinging blues guitar solo, pretty good. Title track also has more of a bluesy tone as well. Burning Bridges. That's Burning Bridges, where the title is the album is called Bridges. That's pretty good. And I think David Paich's electric pianos are really, really tasty on that one as well. And again, I'll Never Know. Again, those kind of brooding, moody pop, but well done. Chorus is really, really memorable, and that's the closer on the album. So yeah, really strong. Some really, really standout tracks on here, and it's nicely produced. And again, it's his most recent one, so that's my number 2. My number 1, because I knew this going in when I started re-listening to all this stuff, it's going to be his debut album, 1989, just called Lukather. Yeah, I remember the first time I heard this. I was a Toto fan at the time, or actually really just getting into Toto heavily. My buddy Steve Fleck, you've seen Steve here on the channel before. It's been a while, but he's been on here, and he's the one who turned me on to this. And he's just like, "Oh, Luke's got a solo album now. That Toto's taking a little bit break. You got to hear this album." I was like, "All right, cool." This got like little to no attention here in the States whatsoever, but man, it's really good. It's got a shit ton of guests on here. You got Eddie Van Halen co-writes a song, plays bass on that song. Jan Hammer's on here. Steve Stevens is on here. Michael Lando's on here. Will Lee, Randy Jackson, Prairie Prince, Jeff Porcaro, David Page, Leland Sklar, tons of other people. Twist the Knife is the opening track. Co-written by Eddie. Plays bass on it. Total high-energy Van Halen-style rocker with great guitar and vocals from Lukather. I'm telling you, if you haven't heard any of this stuff before, and you're kind of sitting there thinking, well, where's something really cool to check out from this Lukather catalog, go listen to Twist the Knife, because it sounds like it could have been a Van Halen song. It's really, really good. And Lukather's just killing on it. Really, really good. Swear Your Love, memorable Toto style melodic rocker. Really, really good. Great chorus. You got Fall Into Velvet, which starts off with this cool interplay between Lukather and Jan Hammer's on it. I believe Steve Stevens is on it as well. It's kind of like this blazing fusion and then hook-laden melodic rock. Really good stuff. Blazing Lukather and Stevens guitars and Hammer coming in with those synthesizers. Really, really good. You got some female vocals on there as well, which add a really nice touch to it. To me, it's just kind of like Jeff Beck and Jan Hammer when they got back together. It's with this parts of this are just kind of like really, really good. Drive a Crooked Road, high energy bluesy arena rock. Really like that a lot. The riffs and the licks from Lukather are great. Big guitars. Love his tone on this album. It's just absolutely killer. Got My Way, pleasant rocker. Not one of my favorites here, but it's good. His vocals are outstanding. Darkest Night of the Year, another kick-ass melodic rock song. So memorable. Lethal guitars, big, huge hooks. Lonely Beat of My Heart, co-written by Diane Warren. She had lots of hits throughout this time. Co-wrote and wrote a lot of stuff where there was hits. A really memorable melodic rock AOR song. It's you listen to the song, you're like, how is this not all over the radio, all over MTV? Should have been a massive hit. It's such a good song. With a Second Chance, another AOR track that easily could have had hit potential. There are a number of tracks on this album that should have been hit songs. I think 1989, I think some of this type of stuff is already kind of on the outs. I really think if this album would have come out a year or two earlier, that could have had some potential, but who the hell knows. What else? The Atmospheric Ballad, Turns to Stone, that's pretty good. It Looks Like Rain's pretty catchy, and then you got Stepping on Top of Your World. Funky, hard rock, also seems like this should have been all over like radio and MTV. Like I said, I'm like revisiting this album. I hadn't heard it in a while. I'm just like shocked that this wasn't huge. I think it's a timing thing. Either, and distribution thing. Again, Steve Lukather, not really, even though he had played on so many albums up to that point, and Toto were really big for a while. By 1989, Toto was nobody here. Especially around the world for the most part. They were kind of in that weird space of like nobody's listening anymore. And I think on his own he didn't have a big enough name. But man, the material is here. It should have been a huge album. Sadly, pretty much ignored. But it's up to folks like you to go and hopefully revisit this for the first time if you haven't already. So, because I think it's pretty damn special. So yeah, that's my number one. We're gonna go with Lukather as number one, my favorite. And my number one album from Steve Lukather. Number two, we're going to go to Bridges. Number three, we're going to go to Found the Sun Again. Number four is All's Well That Ends Well. I don't have the hard copy to show. Number five, Transition. Number six, Candyman. Number seven, Luke. And number eight is Ever Changing Times. Not a bad album here. I would say the two at the bottom are still good, but that's not what you should concentrate on. I would say definitely go check out his two most recent and the Lukather album. Those are easy to recommend to go check out first. Some really good stuff there. So there you have it, everybody. If you are well familiar with the Steve Lukather catalog, feel free to rank these as you like them. Oh, and the Sentimental album is lots of fun too. So if you want a good holiday album, that's loads of fun. Just Steve and his cast of characters doing their versions of some Christmas favorites and a couple of originals on the holiday originals on there as well. Really fun. But yeah, if you know the catalog, rank them as you like them down below. If you haven't listened to any of these, go investigate a few, come back and let us know what you think. And that's what this is all about, right? Hopefully either discovering something you haven't heard before, or maybe a catalog you kind of wanted to get into but didn't know where to start, or to rank along with me or us on catalogs you do know well. So thanks for watching, everybody. This is on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube all together all the damn time. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and click on that notification bell so you get alert of all of our content as it posts. And please do hit the like button before you leave. Also down below, we got the links to our Ko-Fi page for channel donations, our merch page, our Cameo page, and the Sea of Tranquility channel membership button. The join button is here as well if you'd like to go and see what kind of memberships we have, membership options. Thank you all for your help and support on all this stuff. It's greatly appreciated. And we'll see you soon here with more stuff. Don't forget, Hudson Valley Squares coming at you tomorrow. It is album war time. We've got a four-way matchup between Nazareth, Montrose, the Scorpions, and Budgie. Special guests on the Hudson Valley Squares will be Todd LaTorre from Queensryche and Kurt Vanderhoof from Metal Church. So you do not want to miss this episode. Till then, I am Pete Pardo. Stay tuned for ranking the albums a week from today on Sunday. I'm not quite sure what it's going to be yet. I should know over the next couple of days. It might be Grant, Arthur, and I doing Poco, or it might be me doing something solo, a smaller catalog. We'll see. We'll know shortly. Also coming up, I believe, next weekend as well, is Rich Catino and myself will be doing the next installment of the new wave of traditional heavy metal primer, part 6, 7. I'm not quite sure what we're up to yet. 6, I think it might be. So that's coming up as well. So we got a bunch more bands for you guys to check out and listen to. So till then, I am Pete Pardo. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you soon. Bye-bye.